Shalom T, let giving all prison and glory to Yahweh Shem El Shai, Bishop Kodash, and giving double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops, the great millstone, well, peace and salutation to elect. Shemel Mafia is Bob from the great millstone, Plaintables Camp in Philadelphia. Coming with another week lesson in current events. This is here out of Philadelphia. We have this Philly Future Track, and I believe that's like a work program that have affiliations with the city of Philadelphia. They had a labor strike with the DC33 labor union here in Philadelphia, which represents mainly a lot of blue collar sanitation workers, and a lot different people that work within the Philly library. And you have it, the water department, Philadelphia water department, and other departments, crossing guards, and etc. They went on strike. Mostly what was affected significantly was the trash and pickup. And you had a lot of different sites where people were told to basically remove have their trash to be removed from their homes. And they had a lot of dumping in this particular program and such. And since I believe they're non-union, they worked during that time. Okay, so just go into it. And fair use warning: this is for educational purposes only. Journalism. This ain't for any monetary gain. This is from 6 ABC Philadelphia. Fair use warning.
Trash talk tonight from workers who were hired during Philadelphia's city workers' strike. They say they were never paid to pick up trash during the DC33 walkout. Well, it's been almost a month since the strike ended, and these workers are demanding to be paid. Action News reporter Brianna Gallagher has more.
We spoke with several Philly Future Track trainees. They are beyond frustrated. They say right now they are struggling to make ends meet.
Future Track did that. Every day was out there. You know how much trash was out there?
It was not just Future Track that was out there. You had Community Life Improvement Program, and also a clip that was out there. All right, with resources, and you had dump trucks and the laborers, and you had also compactors, and rented, and also in the power of Clip, okay, their own vehicles, and that help to try to assist with the dumping that was at these different sites. So it's just not them, but apparently they have we're gonna go into these employees that they're training. They're in training, but would they be hired employees that didn't get paid, which is outrageous. You also had during this time, you had same day pay at the Community Life Improvement Program utilized as well. And these are like, when you go into that, they're like basically people that mainly substance abuse users, and people that have different criminal records, don't have steady employment. They would go for at least like $50 a day, exchange for their labor. They would get that payment, that wage, $50 a day, but yeah, so they were out there, for the DC 33 strike. I believe it was like 8 days. I think it started on like a Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, on the 1st. Yeah, July 1st. And they reached a tentative agreement, which was later ratified by July the 9th. All right, so, this is the story right now. Okay.
While District Council 33 was on strike, it was trainees with the Philly Future Track program working 12-hour shifts sometimes even longer, to help clean up the city. The program is a 6-month paid workforce development launched by the Streets Department. It provides job skill training and readiness.
When the city went on strike, we was the ones out here actually cleaning up the streets from this Sherrod.
The city and DC33 reached a tentative agreement on July 9th, bringing those members back to work. Philly Future Track trainees say they still haven't received the money they earned during the 8-day strike.
And they promised us that we was going to get the same pay that sanitation gets as a worker, and we didn't receive nothing.
The trainees say they jumped at the opportunity to earn higher wages, overtime, and holiday pay, with some cleaning up the parkway after the 4th of July, saying they were told the money was coming last Friday, then this Friday, but still nothing.
It's like, it's not fair enough. People have kids, people have lives, people have bills.
I just got off the phone with my landlord and explained to him that I don't know when the next time I receive money to pay him his rent.
Now, the city says in part, quote, the city...
Right, and you see, like, most of these Jake, especially getting these city jobs and stuff like that, a lot of them don't have their stuff together at all. You know, where, like, you know, they don't have, you would have it, many Jake don't have a steady income coming in. Okay, steady income. So, like, you know, they got their certain situations, but it's not certain. And like I said, as Israelites, none of our situations here in Babylon, you know, is certain. We don't have a continued city. We know that the Lord, for the us as the hopefully elect, He will provide our daily bread, you know. But you know, these things that, as you have it, which I'll just get a scripture. It tells you we would be subject to payments. Okay. This is in the book of Baruch, chapter 3 and 8, and it says, "Behold, behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us, for a reproach, a shame, and a curse, and to be subject." You're under the rule to payments. Okay, payments, man. Rent payments, utility bill payments, having to pay for your food, and you know, many people have children, daycare, and you know, babysitters, gotta pay for clothing. You know, these different chief things of life. Okay, you're gonna be subject to pain, according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which have departed from the Lord our power. All right, that's why. And we are our forefathers coming back in a regeneration, if you can receive it. Okay, that's why we're in the state we're in. Okay, but they basically promised these people they would get checks just like the checks that sanitation get, which those checks, you know, you got people that have revealed their checks being not enough for the current cost of living. And depending on how, you know, you manage your economize your finances, you know, if you don't have enough, you know, so much expenses, and if you live under your means, you can make it work. But you know, with the cost of rent going up and everything, with food and you know all the other expenses, you know, it's making it very difficult for the blue collar worker, you know, without working overtime and you know sacrificing his life for the job, you know, to be able to, you know, make a livable wage, you know, where they could be comfortable and not have to really be, you know, living this paycheck to paycheck and worrying about where's the next dollar gonna come. You know, because why would these people go out there and work like how they worked over the 12 hours and stuff like that and stuff, which a lot of this also be under coercion too, you know. But most Jake, they just want to be able to, you know, have money and be able to enjoy, you know, the finer things of life, as they would say, which that's mainly like sneakers and balling out for most Jake, you know, seeming as if they living good, but you know, really, you know, drive a fast car, you know, some luxury car, etc. But you know, most of these Jake, like I said, they don't really have good heads on their bodies.
Sanitation Department is working with the Finance Department to provide supplemental checks to the Future Track trainees whose checks are short. We apologize.
Yeah, they gotta add extra to the check that they receive. Okay, because it was a lot of even during the time, like, you know, the people even keeping track of the money, like, you know, with the treasuring. You know, a lot of things got lost in the sauce, man. And really, when you go into it, most of the taxes, you know, everything was really taxed to death. So it's like you really, you know, didn't make that much money, really, to be honest. But these guys that don't even have, like I said, they don't even have checks. You know, they trainees, so they might have just started. And then they waiting maybe for their first check or something like that. Oh, yeah, we need future check. We going to hire y'all. All right, come on, go out there and work. But then, like, you know, they got to get all their paperwork together. And then, you know, they don't, you know, they got bills and stuff. Like, what what do they do?
This has happened as the work future track trainees provide has been invaluable to the department.
We had to go through problems with sanitation because we was doing a job. And she can't.
See? Yeah, so, you know, they saying they had beef, you know.
Appreciate us to give us our money. I'm heartbroken.
Since they aren't city employees yet, they are paid on a separate system. The city says that they are investigating so that people can get paid accordingly. Some of those trainees tell me they're missing anywhere between over 60 to 200 hours of pay.
Damn, that's a lot of overtime.
Reporting along the Parkway, Brianna Gallagher at Channel 6 Action News.
Yeah, man. So, you know, that's how it is, man. And, you know, hey, Jacob Trouble is, he said, fastly approaching. You know, let me see if I can find some more information. But they had to do a lot of, like I said, picking up these mountains of trash and stuff like that, helping doing that. They had front-end loaders, but other programs didn't have that. You know, but y'all could go.
Well, it's the kind of stench where you are constantly trying not to breathe through your nose. So imagine living next to this mess, which at some points is almost as tall as I am. Now, residents are supposed to bring their trash to these containers at temporary collection sites throughout the strike, but you can see that the trail of waste extends well beyond those containers, stretching down the block, even around the corner.
Yeah, it was just a shite show, and it was all over the city. You know, the different sites. But that was all set up, you know. Bring chaos, and the guys didn't even win the actual contract they wanted. You know, they were fighting to get. So that's just what it is. So, you know, I'm gonna give you this precept in Proverbs. I think that's like 21st chapter. All right, I'm gonna get this Proverbs. It says Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 5. It says, the thoughts of the diligent tend only to plenteousness, all right? But of everyone that is hasty, only to want, okay? Because a lot of people be hasty to want to get money and stuff like that, right? But hey, you know, there's a lot of ways where you can quickly hurt yourself too. Read that in another Bible, in the NLT. Good planning and hard work lead to prosperity, right? But hasty shortcuts lead to poverty. A lot of when they get these different city jobs and city affiliated jobs and stuff like that, program jobs and stuff, they're trying to get rich quick and all this other stuff. They looking at it, you know, y'all always see like the you know, when I even be working outside and stuff like that, you know, doing my thing with my whole thing, you know, working within, you know, these these cities and stuff like that. Most people, they see you, you know, in your work truck, you know, especially these women, and they're thinking that you making all of this money and stuff like that, you know, because you see most of them different workers and stuff too. They eating, you know, at the, you know, the Dutch market, you know, which is at the Amish. They eating, you know, chicken wings at $10 a pound, you know, and they eating mounds of it, you know, every other day. You know, you see the water department, you know, them too. You know, because people be quick to try to get these jobs and stuff like that. you know. But then, like I said, you got to look at how they doing it too, you know. They don't have good planning. Okay, they just hear, oh, you got to get this job here, and then once they get the job, they never showing up for work, right? Or they show up to work late. You know, they taking off sick. Okay, you know, they're not saving their money. They're reckless with the finance. They're spending it. Every morning they eating muffins and all this. You know, they got the damn, you know, the roach coach pull up at these different sanitation sites, and these guys eating, you know, the muffins and stuff and whatever, you know, breakfast sandwiches that this man done bought, you know, at a breakfast place, and then just flipping it to these guys just for the convenience of driving it directly to them. You know, and they thinking they feeling fancy and all of that. Being fancy done led you to poverty. Not being able to cook your own meals and plan out what the hell you gonna eat tomorrow, you know, or today, okay? If it just equates to whatever money you got in your pocket or whatever in your account, you just gonna go out there and eat based on who's driving you to what spot that it is to eat. That's not smart, okay? There's a lot of y'all, you know, that work for these dumbass jobs and stuff like that. You know, y'all make dumb decisions, okay? Simple as that. You have to economize, all right? But good planning and hard work lead to prosperity, okay? You know, but that's just diligence. It'll pay off, but you gotta, you know, obviously you have to plan, okay? And that plan gotta be in the Lord. Labor not to be rich. That's already part of the plan. I'm not going to work, you know, damn trading hourly, you know, myself, thinking I'm gonna get rich off of that. You know, over time, hey, you know, you could make some smart moves and stuff like that. You know, and if you believe in that retirement and you got out at the time, hey, maybe that could help you out. But this system is not here for your salvation. It's here for your poverty, your destruction. Okay, for them to profit off you. As the scriptures say, the borrower is subject to the lender. Okay, and they taking all them taxes and money and how you check, you know, and you know the elite is playing with it. But again, man, the thoughts of the diligent tend only to plenteousness, okay? Because he gonna make good decisions, all right? But of everyone that is hasty only to want. Yeah, they hasty to sign up for this work. Oh, yeah, we gonna go out there and work, man. We gonna work. We gonna get this money. Yeah, man, strike going on. We gonna get this money. Yeah, you seen they ain't pay you out. You ain't even get hired for the government. And then, like, basically you looked at as if you just an undocumented worker. You basically worked as an undocumented worker without a work contract signed or something like that. You know? It says the robbery of the wicked shall destroy them because they refuse to do judgment. Okay? Look at that NLT. It says the violence of the wicked sweeps them away because they refuse to do that which is just. All right? But I'm gonna leave it at that, man. You know, hey, you know, Jake getting conned all over the place, and you know, hey, this is Esau's system. It's another reason why we need salvation. You know, a lot of these guys are just regular YNs, and you know, got issues, substance abuse, alcoholics. Some of them just young kids that just troubled and they need guidance. You know, but you know, you got to make better decisions. All right. But you know, the oppressor knows how to use Jake and use the opportunity to win. And a lot of people won out of this, you know, but shalom while we lost. Shalom to you, like.